Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's Upate News. I'm your host Theodify, and this week we finally got a look at the alternate skin for all the tank tracks, as well as a never before seen block and new character customizations. As per tradition, let's first check out the teaser trailer. This week holds the penultimate nugget of information concerning 2.2, with next week being behind the scenes, and since the 23rd is devs versus creators, it doesn't really count as an info drop. How time has flown by this past couple of weeks, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen. We have but one more dev diary to go, but enough about how close we are to release. Let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this video, and as always, please note that this footage is still a work in progress and subject to change. We begin with all the new character customizations. As part of the Frozen Tracks paid DLC, we gain access to 3 new sets of character customization: Explorer, Rebel, and Penguin. The Explorer set comes with a fluffy hood and this really snug and warm looking coat. The Rebel is a tank top with forks? The hat though is much more interesting. It is a kind of sunglasses used by the indigenous people who live very far north where it is very cold and lots of snow. When the sun beats down on a perfect layer of snow, it gets very bright. So these people would carve these shapes out of bones of animals they had killed to make these goggles that allow for very little light to pass through, so they don't get blind from the light bouncing off the snow. Very cool. And finally, we have Penguin, which is a penguin costume. Very cool outfits all around. Personally, in the future, I'd love to see a cloak of some kind that you can drape over your character, similar to, for example, the Returner's drape from No Man's Sky, or the cloak that Master Chief was seen wearing in the trailer for Halo 5. But anyway, let's move on to the tank tracks. Obviously, we've all seen the tank tracks and what they can do and how they perform, and that's all well and good. However, what we haven't seen yet are the alternate styles offered in the build menu. Today we finally got to see what they look like. The main change visible on these is that instead of a rubbery looking tread, it gets this shiny metal look on the tread. In my opinion, it would look better if they were a bit more brushed and or dull, so as to make it look more like they weren't coated in a layer of chrome. But to each their own, I guess. I think I'll be using them simply for the fact that there are no lights on it. Not that the lights don't look cool, to me the bar on the medium ones is a very tasteful touch, but alas. Here's all of them together, with the originals on top and the reskins on the bottom. Next up, we got this bad boy. What is it, you may ask? It's a tank steering block. Ooh, fancy. What this does is improve the accessibility of using tank tracks for new players. Not that it's difficult to tank steer to begin with, but the new players don't know that. Anyway, how this works is that it translates inputs to turn and power from engines into an output that drives the wheels to make the vehicle turn. It even knows if you're physically turning the whole block. During testing, I used the servo to flip one tank track 180 degrees so it was facing backwards to see if it would confuse the block into making me go forwards. It knew that I had turned the track around and kept turning as it should. It's genuine magic and not to be messed with. Furthermore, it aligns pretty well with the flywheel at the end of the reskinned raw engine, which I used to my advantage to make a fake transmission in the back of this tank. Before I wrap this up, let me clear up misconceptions and misunderstandings that I saw were constantly being made by chat during the stream, despite this big blue sign on the top left of the screen. Tank tracks are still free. The tank track skins are not free and are part of the Frozen Tracks DLC, the one that gives you the new map and the new campaign on the new map. The new outfits are also part of the same DLC. There is no release date yet, so do not ask. There is no price for the DLC yet, so also do not ask. At the bottom of the blue sign it says wishlist Frozen Tracks to secure your place in Valhalla. That last bit is a bit of a stretch, but I'll tell you what they're really trying to say. On the Steam store page, things that are highly anticipated are put really high up. Steam knows if it is highly anticipated if it has been added to a lot of wishlist. By wishlisting Frozen Tracks, even if you are not on Steam, you help to push the DLC higher up on the wishlist quote-unquote leaderboards, thus potentially boosting traffic to the game and improving sales. By wishlisting, there is a chance that more people will buy the game and Flashbulb will make more money without actually taking any out of your pocket. That job then falls to a new player who will buy the game. But with that shameless and unsponsored plug, that concludes this segment, and with that in turn, that concludes today's episode of Upate News. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on this video. Which is your favorite new outfit? Do you prefer the free or paid version of the new tracks? Do you like the tank steering block? Why or why not? Let me know in a comment down below. And whilst you're down there, perhaps you could consider subscribing. It's free, you can always change your mind later, and it boosts my channel to new people. Plus, we're slowly creeping closer to 2K, and every little helps. But enough about that. This has been Upate News. I'm your host Yitify, and this week we covered the outfits, tank tracks, and new block coming to the game in 2.2. I'll catch you all in the next one. Good night.